So y'all remember how I told you that Randonautica was a wild ass app and that you shouldn't play with apps like that at all? I meant that, and apparently I was being too nice when I said it. What's good in the YouTube hood? It's your girl Luna Nova, and I'm back with another one for y'all today. Here on the Mystic News, we like to talk about all people, places, and things that are creepy, haunted, and paranormal, and then some. And today we're gonna go ahead and get to a creepy compilation that only proves one thing: that these spirits, apps, and energy don't play fair. From people opening doors to the unknown, from apps like Randonautica and Popcorn that somehow lead people into spiritual psychosis and just straight up paranormal madness. This video is a warning for you to stop playing with things that you don't understand. Whether it's ghost encounters, demonic hauntings, or unexplained things caught on camera. These stories are not just for entertainment. They're reminders that the veil is thin, and sometimes what answers our call doesn't always want to leave us. So cleanse your space, go ahead and light you a protection candle that you can get from the Mystic News, and prepare yourself because this compilation gets creepy real quick.
Storytime and the first time I saw a spirit, a ghost, an apparition, whatever the fuck you want to call it. This happened in 2019, October. I was living in Lemon Grove at the time. Prior to this, I had been clairaudient. I've been clairaudient ever since I can remember. And clairaudience means you hear, not see. And every now and then since I was a kid, like I'll see stuff in the corner of my eyes, like shadow people, I guess they're called. But like I've never like seen anything directly until this night. So one day me and my dog are chilling. It's just us at home. And me, when I watch TV and I'm like really into whatever I'm watching, I get tunnel vision. I'm not paying attention to shit that's around me. I can't hear anything. I'm just like focused. My dog stands up and starts growling and goes to the edge of the bed. And she is staring underneath the TV. The TV I had on the wall in a corner, but like up high. So I'm looking at her to see what she's growling at, and it looks like the TV. And like, as I'm staring though, there's like this, it's just this figure forms underneath the TV. And it's a dark figure, the shape of a human. And as this thing is forming, my dog is getting more and more aggressive. Every single hair on the back of her neck is standing up. She's showing every single tooth, and her growl, I have never heard this growl come out of her. I couldn't believe that was my dog. I'll show you how little she is. Say hi, Marilyn. She is as sweet as can be. So you know when people say like fight or flight kicked in and you do one or the other? Okay, I did not have that. I froze. I don't know why people don't talk about that. That should be like thrown in there. I froze. I was so fucking scared. I just, all I could do was sit there and stare at it because I could not believe what the fuck I was looking at. So this thing, it never actually forms into like a face. Like I couldn't make out any features, but I could make out a body. It looked like a tall, strong man. All I could do was stare at this thing. I could not move, and all it did was stare at me back. And my dog just stayed on the edge of the bed growling at this thing. After what feels like a fucking eternity of this thing just standing in the corner like staring at me, it finally starts to move. It starts to slowly walk toward me and the dog on the bed. And that's when my dog lost her fucking shit. She's so protective. I love her so much. My dog loses it, right? Because she hadn't barked yet. She was just like growling really hard at this thing. But she hadn't barked yet. But as soon as that thing started moving toward us, she just had it. She went the fuck off. And I guess her bark scared it, because that thing, it did the craziest fucking thing. It got really big. Like the shadow got really, really big and then just darted right outside of my sliding door. And it made my curtains whoosh. Like I had these, I'll show you what kind of curtains I had. I had these types of curtains, and it just whoosh made the whole fucking thing slide like that. That was all I fucking needed. That was all I needed to see. That scared the shit out of me. I grabbed my dog. I went to a friend's house. Ended up moving a week after that. Like, yeah, a week later. So that was that. But you know what I have to say? This is going to sound really weird. I have to say it was kind of comforting. Like after I had moved out and like thought about the situation, it was really comforting to me to like know that we don't ever really die. Like I feel like that was someone that used to live there, and I don't think they meant me harm. I was just scared because I didn't feel threatened by it. You know what I mean? I think it was just like they're checking up on me, or maybe that person used to live there. I don't fucking know. Maybe they were buried on that ground. I don't know. But I didn't feel threatened. I was just scared. It's a fucking apparition. It's a ghost. But seeing that definitely made me feel less afraid of dying. Like, we go on. We never really truly die. Because that has to, I saw it with my own eyes. And so that has to mean there's something after this.
Hi, story time on seeing a Skinwalker, except I just, chose the top comments. I'm actually gonna go to the place that I saw it and, give you, a full demonstration of what I saw. Okay, I'm at my spot. This is our setting, okay? That's how far the house is away from where we're at, by the way. Just keep that in. Anyways, this takes place 2 years ago, very recently, 2 years. My boyfriend and I were sitting right here, and my dogs, they get up and they start running towards the driveway and barking, and we're like, okay, what are they barking at? Well, we look up and we're sitting right here, standing right there. There's this 9-foot tall thing, and it's okay, wait. Okay, so this thing is really tall, and it's gray, and it's emaciated looking, but it's it's skinny, it's tall, but its arms are so long. It's standing like this, so its back was kind of like that, so it's standing like this, and its arms are hanging kind of, but they were very close to touching the ground because of how long the arms are, if that makes sense. And so my dogs walk up to it, they sniff it, and they walk away. They didn't do anything. That's why I was just kind of because I've seen them get on deer before, deer, hogs, they'll get on whatever. Anyway, so my dogs walk up to it and sniff it, and my boyfriend and I are sitting there, and we're like, okay, what is that? What is that? I'm kind of freaking out. I'm really freaked out, not gonna. And we just stand up, and we're shining our lights at it, and we start walking backwards towards my house. So we're kind of walking backwards like this, and it just starts moving so smoothly down the driveway. It kind of floated almost. It just looked so smooth. It walked smoothly. It moved smooth. So my boyfriend and I, we get in my house and we tell my grandparents what we just witnessed. And my grandpa and grandma are like, okay, y'all are crazy. We know that y'all didn't see that. So my grandpa gets on his Kubota, his side-by-side, his gator thing, with his pew-pew. And he goes out, and we hear 4 consecutive shots, okay? Shots fired, okay? So we're I hope everything's okay. Hope it didn't attack him or something, whatever it is, the polar bear. And he comes back in the house, and he was like, I shot at it 4 times. You did what? You shot at it 4 times. So now I assume it's angry. I don't know where it's been. But I'm not gonna lie, I have been seeing weird things here my entire life. I've been seeing stuff floating in the sky. Stone County, Mississippi. Who said that? It must have been the. Thank you. Also, there's more backstory to this if you want to know the backstory. That's not the first time that I saw it. That was just the time that I actually saw it. Anyways, thank you. I love you.
This is one of the scariest stories on Reddit, and it comes from the subreddit r/no sleep by user NS Lewis about 5 years ago. You're going to want to strap in for this. My wife has a removable face. I've never glimpsed what lies beneath it, but my best friend has. Samantha told me about it on our 3rd date. We were watching a movie on her couch when I made my move to kiss her. She whipped her hand in front of my face and blocked me. There's something you need to know, she said. I braced myself. Here it comes. I'm not ready for a relationship, nothing to do with you, of course. It was the absolute last thing that I wanted to hear because I was already crazy about her. Okay, I said. I have a removable face. That's a new one. You have a what? I was about to laugh, but she had a deadly serious expression. I have a removable face. Is that a metaphor or something? No, my face is literally removable. Look closely. She lifted her chin and traced her jawline with a finger. You can see the seam. After admiring how beautiful her neck was for a dizzying moment, I leaned in for an inspection. It was very hard to see, but it did look like there was a slightly unnatural transition from her face to her throat. I grew dizzier as questions rushed into my head. Don't bother asking why or how or anything like that, she said. I can't tell you that. If that's going to be a problem, you should leave now. I'm letting you know this because I like you and I want to take the next step, but this is non-negotiable. Okay, I said, unsure of what's happening. Not a problem. So what? You have a removable face. Who cares? It looks good. There's something else. Once a day, usually in the evening, I have to remove the face and disinfect the inside of it. If I don't, it will rot. This takes about an hour, give or take, depending on how my day went. During this time, you must never, ever look at my real face. Never. Do you understand? Yeah, I got it. Don't ask about it and don't look at your real face. Samantha stood up. Now I'm going into the bathroom to clean my face. That will give you plenty of time to think about what I've told you. If you're here when I'm done, that's great. I would like that. But if you're gone, I'll understand. She turned and walked into her bedroom. I sat in stunned silence as I heard the bathroom door closed. I gave this thing some serious thought. It was possible that it was a joke of some kind, and it was possible that it was a delusion. But was it possible that it was all true? Well, it certainly was possible to transform an actor's face with movie makeup, so I suppose it was possible that Samantha wore a removable face every day. Maybe she had a horrible accident, or she had burned her skin. If she had, I would never know because she would never tell me, and I would never see it. I pictured a face of raw, naked muscle. Could I kiss her if that's what I was kissing? But wasn't that what we all were under the skin? Just muscle and bone. I paced around the living room, running my hand through my hair. I liked Samantha a lot. She was smart and funny and beautiful. But was that beauty even real? Did it count? Did it matter if it was real or not? And was I being superficial for even worrying about it? When she came out of the bathroom, I was still there. I looked at her face, she smiled, and I was in love. We dated, we moved in together, we decided to get married. For the most part, it was a completely normal relationship, typical of two young people in love building a life together. During the day, it was easy to forget about the face altogether. It looked natural enough, and only in certain positions and in certain light was there ever any indication that it wasn't natural. But every night was the same. Samantha would close herself in the bathroom, sometimes for an hour, sometimes two, and clean the inside of her face. The curiosity never left me. I would sit there and wonder what was under that face. I came so close to barging in on her a few times, but I never did. I did occasionally ask her about it, about what, if anything, had happened, and how it was possible to make the removable face look so real. About what it really looked like underneath. I tried to coax her into showing me, assuring her that I loved her no matter what, and didn't give a damn about what her real face looked like. I was just curious, that's all. She never showed me or told me the story behind it. She didn't get upset at me unless I was really badgering her. She would just shrug and say, you know you can't see it and you know I can't tell you about it. I never told anyone about Samantha's removable face. Not that she asked me not to, I just didn't think it was anyone's business. Except once, I did tell somebody. It was during my bachelor's party. We had rented several cabins in Big Sur and spent the night drinking and packing our noses with you-know-what. Everyone else had passed out and the sun was creeping up behind us as I stood on the majestic cliffs with my friend Chris, looking down at the waves crashing. Chris was my best friend, as close to a brother as I'd ever known. We'd grown up together and visited each other at college often and spent the summers together. After college, we moved to different cities, but we stayed in close contact. Standing there on the cliffs, I told Chris about Samantha's removable face. At first, he thought I was joking. Then he had 1,000 questions, most of which I couldn't answer. What's underneath? I don't know, ma'am. Doesn't it drive you crazy not knowing? I shrugged. Lots of stuff I don't know. I don't know how to do calculus, and I don't know what happens after we die. But dude, she's about to be your wife, and you don't even know what she looks like? I mean, I'd have to take a look. Like, you could set up a camera in the bathroom. That's where she does it, right? Set up a camera and have a look, and then you'll know. I sighed. Yeah, it drives me crazy. I've asked her 1,000,000 times. But she told me I can never look, and I've got to respect that, ma'am. Then we fell back into talking about old times, and a new day dawned. Chris was in town for business last week and planned on spending the weekend at our house. The conversation at Big Sur happened 4 years ago, and we hadn't spoken about Samantha's removable face since. Despite keeping in close contact and seeing each other as often as two people that are transforming into adults in different parts of the country can. It happened on Saturday evening. We were lounging lazily in the backyard, deep into the beer, and just had finished grilling some steaks, when I got a text from work. Damn it, I groaned. I have to make this work call. Seriously, Samantha said, raising an artificial eyebrow. It's a Saturday night. It's my biggest client, babe, I'm sorry. It is what it is, I guess, she said. I'm going to head inside and get cleaned up. Chris, are you okay to hang out for a bit? Chris smiled. I'll be fine. I got my beer and some weeds to pull in the backyard. I rolled my eyes and went into the side yard to make my call. 15 minutes into it, I heard the screams coming from inside the house. Both my best friend and my wife were wailing in terror. I dropped the phone and ran into the house and down the hall to our bedroom. Through the open door, I could see that the door to the master bathroom was standing wide open. "Don't come in," screamed Samantha. "I don't have my face on. Call an ambulance. He looked. Oh God, he looked." She sounded desperate and truly horrified, and that made me desperate and horrified, and I wanted to rush into the bathroom, but I suddenly knew this would be a mistake. I knew that Samantha didn't want me to look at her real face out of no sense of vanity, but for my own safety. Chris staggered backwards out of the bathroom. He was holding a straightened out paperclip, which he had used to pick the privacy lock. Now he was stabbing it into his eyes and shouting gibberish. He was clearly in the depths of madness, and it turned my stomach to see him like that. "Call the ambulance," my wife screamed. "Don't come in here. He looked. I turned and ran back to the side yard where my phone was lying in the newly mowed grass. My client was still on the line, alarmed, wanting to know what was happening and what all the screaming was. I hung up on him and called 911. When the paramedics arrived, Chris was having a seizure in the hallway. Samantha was stroking his head and sobbing. Her face was on, but it had been hastily done, so everything looked off. My world has been dark this past week. My best friend is in a psychiatric unit. He's completely blind and mostly catatonic, except for when he slips into violent babbling mania. The doctors are optimistic that his state is temporary, but they don't know the truth about what caused it. I saw no good reason to tell the truth about what happened. Who would believe me that my wife had a real face that would make anyone insane if they looked at it? At best, we would be the subjects of some long investigation, and at worst, we'd have to prove that it was true. And the only way to do that would be for Samantha to show her face. I did follow up with the police and confirmed my story. Samantha is in a state of her own. She still cleans the inside of her face, though not as regularly, and when she puts it back on, it's always crooked now, and it's beginning to smell. I've tried to reassure her that it's not her fault. He knew. I said I told him. How could it not be me? Everyone looking at my face makes them insane? Please, I just need some time alone. As for me, I'm doing my best to hold it together. Do you know what's strange, though? Despite what happened to Chris, I still find myself curious about what my wife's face really looks like. More curious than ever, actually. So what do you think was under his wife's face?
I want to hear the story about the time that my brother and I had to do some business in Southern California, and we had to stay at a friend's house for about 6 days, and the house that we stayed at was fucking haunted. Oh yeah, here we go, okay? Let me just give you the layout. Alright, so the house was pretty nice, pretty big. So the downstairs was, the living room. The upstairs was like the kitchen, the dining room, and the backyard. And then in the hallway, there were 3 rooms. There was a front room and a bathroom next to the front room, and then 2 rooms in the back. And I think one of the rooms had a bathroom as well. Also wanted to mention that this friend of ours was taking care of a woman that was very ill. So she had to be next to the bathroom, right? Which is understandable. So we stay there. First night we stay there. I could not sleep. Okay. Nothing weird happened. Just couldn't sleep. Okay. So, all right. Heard a few things here and there. I'm thinking, okay, it's the rats, whatever. Second night, this is where the shit goes from 0 to 100, and I kid you not, okay? I hear this damn thing. I don't know if it was I don't even know what I was thinking at first, but instantly, actually, I know what I was thinking. I was like, this sounds like a damn goat, okay? Because it sounded like hooves going from the hallway to the stairs. And the stairs was right next to the couch that I was sleeping at. And I could hear it, and it was loud as fuck, okay? And I knew, even though I was in denial, I knew that shit did not sound normal, all right? So the next day, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe I'm just tripping. That was just a one-time thing. Third night happens, same shit, but it happens twice. And so as we're staying there, I'm not sleeping at all. I'm barely getting enough sleep as the sun rises. I'm fucking exhausted. So the fourth night, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to see if I'm tripping and see if anybody sounds like that, because I'm not looking behind me. So I'm paying attention to how everybody walks, how everybody sounds. Even there were like a couple people in the house that had a bit of a heavy foot, but it didn't sound like hooves, okay? And the lady that was terminally ill had very light feet. So that's when I started to get a little freaked out and a little creeped out, okay? This is when things get funky. So that damn thing did the same fucking shit. And it wouldn't go all the way down the stairs. It sounded like it would go to the second to the last stair, and then it would go back up slowly. And then wherever it went. I don't know. So this is where it gets weird again, okay? As if you think that's creepy enough. So there was another downstairs where you have like the washer and dryer, and I need to wash some of my clothes and some of my shirts. I like to hang up and air dry. All right. So as you know, you're putting in your load, your other load or whatever, you're letting stuff drive, hanging stuff up. You know, you check to see how everything's going. And some of my shirts are missing. Actually, a couple of my favorite shirts were literally missing, and I'm like, oh my God, that's weird. So I went to the lady that owned the house, and I'm thinking, hey, like, have you seen any of my shirts? Like, I don't see them here. And she's like, oh no, I didn't see where any of them went. I'll keep an eye out. And I'm like trying to look for them, but I literally couldn't find them. It was the weirdest shit. And then I started to get the feeling like, you know, these people might be into some weird stuff. It's okay. I'm not judging, but I'm just saying that I'm glad that this is my last day, because this is crazy. So yeah, I just left whatever was there and took whatever I needed, obviously, like the rest of my clothes. And my brother and I were out. And it was weird. But y'all, all I kept thinking about when that thing would go down the stairs and into the hallway was a goat. I don't know, a goat man, I don't know, but it was hooves, loud ass hoof, y'all. It was so fucking loud. I couldn't believe, I literally was like, nobody else is hearing this shit but me. Crazy. What do you guys think? Were they into some weird stuff? Let me know.
My daughter said one of her classmates disappears every time he goes to the bathroom. I said, what do you mean, he skips class? She shook her head and said, no. He walks out, the door shuts, and then he just never comes back until tomorrow. I asked, does the teacher go check on him? She said the weirdest thing is the teacher never seems to notice. She said it's like once he leaves, nobody remembers he was ever there except me. I thought maybe she was just imagining things until she said his name, Elijah. She said he always wears the same blue hoodie, always sit by the window, and always leaves during her class. And that today, right before he left, he whispered something to her. Don't let them call your name. I asked what that meant. She said, I don't know, but when the teacher called my name, the lights flickered. That's when I decided to check the school's attendance portal for the last month. There was no student named Elijah enrolled for the last month. And I asked the teacher the next morning. She paused, then said, we had an Elijah, but he passed away in the bathroom 2 months ago. I asked what happened. She just said he went during her class and he never came out. Later that night, my daughter woke up screaming. I ran into the room. She was pointing towards the window. I didn't see anything at first until the lightning flashed. And standing on the other side of the glass was a boy soaked in a blue hoodie, holding a paper with her name written in red crayon. Why does he disappears, but still comes back with other kids' names?
I grew up in Appalachian. This is one of the scariest things that ever happened to me while I was hunting. So a lot of y'all like hearing me talk about like my wife's Native American folklore stuff that she's passed on to me. But this one is actually not anything to do with her side of the family as much as it is to do with my Appalachia side of the family and what it was truly like growing up in Appalachia like I did. Big shocker. If you guys didn't know that, that's where I grew up at. That's where this accent comes from. So the phenomenon is called a ghost light. It goes by other names, and I'm not talking about like fey lights or fairy lights. I'm talking about ghost lights where it literally looks like someone is carrying a lantern or a flashlight. It is a very distinctive beam of light or ball of light, depending on how you witness it. And I'm literally getting chills talking about this right now because it's not something I really enjoy doing a whole lot. But you guys seem really interested in my stories about this kind of stuff. Because, you know, talking about it can invite it back in to happen again. So anyhow, when I was in my early 20s, I was out on my family's property. I grew up on a huge cattle ranch out there in the Appalachian Mountains. And I was out there hunting a spot that I'd hunted a million times as a kid. I hadn't been there in quite a while. It had been some time since I'd been back. And there's this trail where it's a dead end at the end of this trail. It's like a sheer drop off of bluffs. I mean, just straight cliffs at the end of this trail. My family owns the 400 acres around it almost, the nearly 400 acres around it. And all the neighboring lands are also like my other relatives' lands. So if you combine it all, there's nobody that I wouldn't know for God knows how far. Which, if you guys are unfamiliar with like Appalachian traditions, it's pretty common that whole families will go somewhere and buy a whole hillside or a whole mountainside together and literally own everything that you can see. So I go out about 5:30 in the morning. It's still dark there, and I get situated on the ridge that I'm hunting. A clear beam of light comes through. Clear beam of light. Looked like somebody turned on a flashlight. Now, I was the only one that came in there. I came with my cousin, and my cousin was back behind me on the trail, another 100 yards back behind me. So there's no way anybody could have been in front of me down this trail, considering that we're the only ones out there, we're the only ones that have access to this property, and this trail ends in a dead end on this cliff. So I'm just sitting there in the dark, just watching where I see this beam of light at, and I know it's going to be daylight in about 30 minutes. So I'm just watching, because the light came on for about a good 5 to 10 seconds, like a good amount of time to just sit there and stare at a flashlight. And it didn't waver, it didn't move. It was just like shing, shing. And I thought, okay, when my eyes adjust or when it gets daylight, I'm going to see who's over there, because they can't get out of here. Their only way out is to walk past me. And I'm just watching, just waiting to see who it is. I thought maybe somebody was trying to signal to me that, hey, I'm out here, like, don't shoot me. And by the way, after this, hunting trip was over, when I met back up with my cousin, he verified that he also saw the beam of light, because like I said, it's total darkness, so any light is going to draw your eye right away. So he was 100 yards back down the opposite direction of the trail than I was, and he also saw this light. And when I tell you I did not take my eyes off this spot for the next half hour, I did not even hardly blink. Light came, and there's nobody there. So I walk over, because I'm at this point, I'm like, forget the deer hunt. I'm going to walk over to exactly where that light came from, and I'm going to look around, okay, to see if I see any disturbances or like maybe a homeless person that snuck way back there in the woods or something. And when I get to where that light came from, it is a straight drop-off cliff. Like, if I would have walked over there in the dark to investigate the light, there's a good chance I would have fallen off this cliff and died. And that's a very important detail when it comes to this phenomenon, because a lot of people talk about how these lights lure people to get lost in the woods or lure them to like bad fates. And that would have 100% been what my fate would have been if I would have walked over there to where this light was at. I would have just fallen in the darkness. This all ties back into things I've talked about on here before called the missing 411. If you guys haven't looked up that crazy investigation, you need to. It's where you can essentially lay maps over like the cave systems in the United States and the missing people reports, and they match really spot on. This area is covered in caves. So I love hearing your guys' similar stories. If you have anything that you can relate to on that, definitely drop it in the comments. If you guys have heard anything about that kind of situation, also drop it to us. I would love to hear your thoughts on this kind of stuff, or what kind of phenomena you want me to talk about next.
Do you believe that our ancestors communicate with us? That's one of the trending topics that I've seen on my FYP this week, and this spooky story might answer that question for you. Now, I am somebody who believes that when you discuss the spiritual, anything can be open to debate. However, some stories definitely make you think twice, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this story centers around a girl named Ginger, and Ginger has been dating her boyfriend Randy for like 10 months at this point. Everything is good in the beginning, there's no problems, it's still the honeymoon phase, when all of a sudden, Ginger starts to have these terrible dreams, and she can't explain why. There was one dream in particular, though, that she would remember for the rest of her life, and this dream centers around her and one of her relatives. Now, at this point in Ginger's relationship with Randy, things were about to start hitting the rocks. They were moving into month 11, and things were starting to get a little bit dicey. Randy was always trying to pick fights, he seemed moody and irrational, he would accuse Ginger of doing different things, and periodically Ginger swore she saw physical changes about Randy when he was going through these phases. Things would change about him. For instance, his eyes would appear to get a little bit darker and more intense. His energy shifted completely, and periodically she felt like she could see physical changes in his facial features. Now, of course, she thought she might have been crazy, but she didn't really have anything to base this off of. Anyways, back to the dream. There was one night in particular where Ginger was having a dream. It started off well enough. She was sitting at a park in an area in her hometown that was familiar to her, when all of a sudden she recognized this person approaching her. At first, she couldn't believe who she was seeing. It was her great-grandmother. Now, her and her great-grandmother were close growing up. She passed away when Ginger was a bit younger, but the two always had this very special bond. The grandmother joined her on a park bench, and they start talking, and the grandmother was like, I think you should leave. Now, Ginger couldn't figure out what she was referring to, and when she tried to ask her, the alarm clock rang. Ginger woke up, and she kept the dream at the back of her mind. The next night, another similar dream. She was sitting on the same park bench, and her great-grandmother came to join her, except this time the grandmother had another message. I think you need to leave quickly. Again, Ginger couldn't figure out what she was talking about or in reference to, so she tried to ask her great-grandmother, and much like the first night, an alarm clock went off, and Ginger woke up. Now, 2 weeks had gone by, and Ginger had all but forgotten the dream, but Randy's behavior started to get even more erratic. He would get mad at random things, he would accuse her of cheating, he would go through her stuff, he would pop up at her job, and everything she did came with a bout of criticism. There was nothing that she could do right. He also started to bring up his ex-girlfriend, making these comparisons, talking about her body. And again, during these phases, Ginger was certain that his features would change. She just couldn't pinpoint it. But there was one night in particular where things would change forever. Ginger had made a meal after working all day. She made this extravagant meal, several courses, and she was really excited about it, but she hoped that Randy would be too. But when Randy came home, the energy in the room just shifted. It was tense. And all of a sudden, Randy started hurling these accusations. And Ginger, for the life of her, could not explain why he was doing this. What had happened to trigger such a reaction? It got so bad that he started calling her all sorts of names, and eventually he would throw a pan at her head. That was it. So Ginger packed her stuff that night and went to a hotel. Randy was shouting after her as she left, and he alleged that this meal was restitution for her cheating on him with some guy she had never met. Anyways, Ginger got to a hotel that night and she was devastated. She had cried so hard that getting to sleep was not a hard thing for her. But when she dreamt that night, she dreamt a familiar dream. Again, she was back in the park, and in the distance, much like the previous dreams, her great-grandmother was coming nearer. And she sat next to her on the bench that she had been sitting at the prior dreams, but this time something was completely different about the dreamscape. Her grandma was sitting next to her, and what was a bench had then turned to chairs, each person sitting in one apiece. There were also chairs surrounding them, filled with people that she knew, great aunts and uncles, cousins who had passed, family friends who were long gone, and Ginger couldn't figure out what was going on. The vibe of the dream changed drastically. And in front of her, she saw a man in a black cloak, and then she saw a line of people going up towards the man in the black cloak. They would look down, and they would keep it moving, and eventually it was Ginger and her great-grandmother's turn to go. So they exited their row of chairs, and they walked up towards the man in the black cloak. And when they got to the front, Ginger finally saw what they were looking down at. It was her. She was dead inside of a casket. This dream shook her to her core, and as she was walking away, tears streaming down her face, her grandmother said, "I think it's time for you to go." Ginger woke up immediately after that, and she decided she was going to break up with Randy the next day. And she did so, but not without issue. Randy got violent. She called the police, and luckily this was one of those instances where they believed her. They took Randy away, but this is when she would find out that Randy's prior girlfriends had all been victims of domestic violence at his hands.
Have y'all heard of that new app that people are literally accusing of being capable of possessing them with demons? Let's go back to the beginning. So there's this new app called Popcorn. Maybe some of you downloaded it like during the TikTok ban or just recently for the hell of it. We're back again with a guest appearance by Vincent Price. Everybody say hello to my cat. So the app is Russian owned, and it's supposed to be a horror-based social media app. And a lot of people are using it to share their alleged paranormal experiences. Like they'll post videos of things. My cat's still doing stuff over there. They'll post videos of like unnatural sounds, things like moving abnormally that shouldn't be moving. You know, your typical content that would be, you know, supernatural based. You guys, I am so sorry about him today. And obviously there's a lot of content on there that's like obviously fiction, but some of it very much is convincing that it very much might be real. Now, last year in Russia, there was about 4 people, I think, you'd have to look it up, that tried to sue this app basically for saying that it caused them to have unwanted paranormal experiences after interacting with some of the content on the app. But pretty much every app has like a terms and condition that says we're not responsible for certain things that happen to you on this app, and they really get away scot-free because everybody doesn't even believe in this stuff. Where's the proof? You know, things like that. So there are some people that are using the app that people claim that the videos that they're making are to cast spirits off of them and onto unsuspecting watchers, while others say that the whole entire purpose of the videos are just they want to basically put a spirit onto someone else. So there's a girl I found on this app, girl named Tamika Taylor, who said that she downloaded the app because she's a horror fan. She was looking to meet more horror people, horror writers. And she said that when she opened the app, the very first video that was on there was this woman that was speaking. She said it was the very first video that she saw. And she said that even though she had, like, she wanted to scroll away, she said that she felt almost mesmerized by this video. And the woman was basically, the woman in the video, I guess, was saying that there was this spirit that is like living in her, and she just was doing these chants that she says comes from the spirit or demon or whatever you want to call it. Now, this girl, Tamika, claims that after watching this video, like, things started going really wrong for her. She said that when the video was over, she felt really nauseous. She felt really sick. She said that she literally had physical symptoms. She was, like, vomiting and just didn't feel well for the rest of the day. And she claims that ever since this happened, I think it's been maybe, like, it's been, like, some amount of weeks. She said that ever since this happened, there's been all kinds of abnormal things happening to her. Like, she'll have, like, her ear ringing. She'll feel abnormal cold washes. Like, she really thinks that she became possessed by the spirit. And she said that she was trying to put it out of her mind and not believe it and just tell herself that it wasn't real, until she said she had a really frightening experience where she said she was driving down the street. And she basically just said that she was in a complete daze. She wasn't paying attention to anything that she was doing because she said that she couldn't. She said she can't even remember the time at all, but apparently she started speeding and her speeds kept increasing, and she got up to about almost 100 miles an hour and she was just speeding down this road until another car, like, blew their horn, snapped her out of it, and then she said that she became afraid for her life. Now, she said that when she went back on the app and she tried to find the video that this creator had made, the video was gone, like just completely gone, and the girl had, like, switched to some other kind of content. And she really believes that this girl put the video out there to cast the spirit off of her and onto whoever was going to be, like, the unsuspecting watcher of her video. So now this girl, Tamika, has said that she is full on looking for someone to give her an exorcism. Like, she genuinely believes that she is possessed and she wants to get an exorcism. She, of course, also tried to start a lawsuit with the app, but that's, again, probably not going to go anywhere because of their terms and conditions, the fact that they have lawyers, and they're not going to take responsibility for someone becoming possessed by watching one of their videos. But many people online, on Reddit, are saying that they're having these kind of experiences with the app. So my question is, well, two questions. One, would you guys even be willing to go onto the app knowing this? Would you feel comfortable? And two, do you honestly believe that people can cast spirits onto other people through the app? Like, do you think that this demonic possession is real or it's all in her head? Let me know in the comments.
If this video taught you anything, it's that some doors are locked for a reason, and that some of these apps are nothing but digital Ouija boards dressed up as adventure games, and y'all shouldn't be playing with them. And I definitely am gonna make a part 2 for more Randonautica and allegedly popcorn stories for you guys, because it's interesting to me, because it seems like it's nothing but a form of new divination that I don't think people are ready for. It's more than just haunted AI. It's creepy as fuck, but it's more than that. Today's video just scratches the surface of how technology, intention, and energy are way more connected than people think. If you have had a creepy experience with an app, a spirit, or something that you just can't explain, make sure that you leave it down in the comments or email it in so it can be featured on the next episode for Mystic Monday. You never know who might need to hear this story. They might just be going through the same thing and need some help on their spiritual journey. So each one teach one by sharing. But that is all that I have for you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and finish this video so I can go ahead and push out another one for you all, because you have been loving the consistent content and I love that for you all. So I'm going to make sure that I deliver. But with that being said, make sure that you drink your water, mind your business, stay prayed up and protected, and as always, Luna loves you. I'll see you guys for the next video, if the spirits allow it.
Give it right back, did they give it right back? This look, kitty, can I sit right back? Wanna give it right